So right now it's pretty common knowledge that the Foraging update is a huge update, and a lot of people have made a lot of money from it. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and a lot of people have had a chance to go at the update and to play it for a while, and people have made billions of coins from the update. Although, to be fair, that's mostly from the hunting part of the Foraging update, but that was pretty much half the Foraging update anyways. But one thing that people don't usually look at when an update comes out, unless you're an endgame player, is how much Skyblock XP Foraging update gives. And since I'm pretty broke in this game, I usually try to cope by trying to get my Skyblock level up as high as possible, so I can just think about the positive side of my profile, not the negative and how broke I am, but we don't talk about that. But away from that, the Foraging update has given me a lot of Skyblock XP, and this video is going to be showing how you can get a bunch of Skyblock XP from the Foraging update if you haven't already, because there's hundreds and even thousands of Skyblock XP that you can get from this update, and it really doesn't cost as much as people are thinking, although there are lots of ways to spend money to get Skyblock XP. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So unfortunately, I did delete the footage of me first going on to the Foraging update, because originally I was going to make an update of just me looking at the Foraging update, but after the first day of it being out, I realized that the content was just going to be really repetitive after all the other videos made on it, so I decided to just play the update and see how it goes. And as I was playing it, I realized that it gave me a lot of Skyblock XP, so I decided to try and make this video on it. At the beginning of the Foraging update, I started off on Skyblock level 291, and right now I'm level 324, so that means so far I've gained 33 Skyblock levels, or 3,300 Skyblock XP. And to be fair, I've done a lot of the update, but I haven't done all of it. There's still a lot of stuff that I can do to get Skyblock XP. So in this video, we're going to go over what I did to get Skyblock XP and what you guys can do after. When the Foraging update came out, a lot of people know this, but the hunting skill was actually introduced, and this is a skill that goes from level 1 all the way up to level 25. So although it doesn't give as much skill XP as one that goes from level 1 to level 50, this does give a lot of skill XP. And right now, I'm only hunting 24, but I have a bunch of hunt traps placed down, and I'm waiting for these trap hunt milestones to go, because once I get more hunting milestones, I'll end up being at hunting 25, and I just did not want to grind out hunting manually again, so I'm just going to wait for these milestones to go through, and I'll be at hunting 25. So far, I've gotten 190 Skyblock XP from just the hunting skill alone, but once I get hunting 25, that'll be 2 whole levels just from hunting. And since there's probably a lot of people who are wondering how to get their hunting level up, I'll show you how I got my hunting up. So there's actually 2 ways that you could do it that give the most amount of hunting XP that I saw. The most popular of the 2 are to grind ghosts, but I know a lot of people can't kill ghosts, especially with the hunt axe, because you have to use this weapon even though you can put an item in it, but some people cannot do enough damage to kill ghosts, so I found an alternate method that isn't as good as ghosts, but it gives a lot of hunting XP for very little effort. So for this, I'd recommend just getting any damage armor set you need. It doesn't really need to be that bad. I can probably do it without armor, but it just makes it easier to have damage just in case you're not doing enough damage. And get your hunt axe out. The best one to get is this next titanium here. It's about 1.7 million coins, so it is really cheap. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a medium pocket black hole. This is the maxed black hole that you can get, and it is only 2.35 mil. So in total, you probably will need about 5 million coins to get started with this hunting skill XP method, and this method does make some good money as of now. So for this method, what we're going to be killing are these glaciate walkers here. And as you can see, what you want to do is you want to take your black hole, and you're actually going to want to put it in the air. So to do this, get a god potion and just jump and right click it so that it's floating in the air here. And as you can see, when it's floating in the air, the pull of it is so much better. If you see, if I hit this mob here, it's getting pulled all the way from over here. When it's on the ground, for some reason, it doesn't pull unless the mobs are about this radius, but like even this one that's this far away, when I hit it, it gets pulled all the way from over here. And we can see the amount of hunting XP that we get from this, obviously with a god pot. And I don't have any pet to give extra hunting XP. I get about 391 hunting XP per kill, and I'm pretty sure for ghosts it's about 600, so it is definitely a bit lower, but this is probably the best method that you can do for hunting. You're just going to want to place the black hole up here, and you're going to want to take your hunt axe out and just hit as many mobs as possible. and when you get them low, they'll start getting pulled to the black hole. You can do this with the party as well if you want to get more shards. This does make some decent money right now. Glacial Walker shards have been decreasing as time has been going on, but at 13.5 thousand coins, you can probably make about 15 million coins an hour or so, although the rates do kind of fluctuate depending on the prices and how many other people are around you. So hunting is one way that you can get your hunting skill up, and I'm going to show some clips of me leveling up in hunting using this method. So now that we're done with the hunting skill for this update, it's time to go into the other part of hunting, which is the attributes part. So as you can see right here, I have a couple of attributes. I found 150 out of the 174 attributes, and I've maxed 17 of those attributes. As you can see, I've gotten 376 Skyblock XP from this, but you can get up to 1700, which is a crazy amount for one part of the update. If you're on an Iron Man, you'll have to grind out these shards, but on a normal profile, which is what I'm assuming for the majority of you, you just have to buy out these shards and siphon them to get your attribute levels up in your menu here. As you can see, I've just maxed out a couple of different shards. Some of them I maxed out like the Glacial Walkers just from grinding that out for hunting, but some of them I decided to buy to max out because to give different perks that I want, like damage to different things or fishing speed, and this was just random stuff that was pretty easy to do, but just things like that. Every tier that you level up for each of these attributes gives you 1 Skyblock XP, which means that if you level it up to level 10, you'll get 10 Skyblock XP per attribute. You can see how that adds up a lot over the 174 attributes, and this is how you can get a bunch of Skyblock XP from the attributes. What I'd recommend you doing is I'd recommend getting 150 unique attributes, and the reason for that is because when you move on to Foraging, you'll get your David's Cloak, and you need 150 unique attributes to max out the David's Cloak. And once you do this, the David's Cloak will actually give you 100 sweep, which is a crazy amount, and it's giving me about 20% of my total sweep right now, and that's with a pretty decent foraging setup minus a Jade Dragon. Like I said, this will help you when you're going into foraging because that extra sweep really helps a lot, and this will also make you so that you have a mythic David's Cloak, along with giving you 1.5 Skyblock levels. After you get those unique attributes, you can go ahead and buy attributes for as much as your money allows you to, because you can get up to 17 levels from this, and this just really depends on how much money you have. There are obviously some attributes that are extremely expensive, but you can definitely get a bunch of cheap ones up to the max level like this for a couple mil per attribute, and this stacks up, so you don't have to do it all at once. You can do it as you're making money from either hunting or from foraging. So I think that pretty much wraps up how hunting gives you Skyblock XP, but now for the actual update, the foraging update. There are a lot of ways to get XP from the foraging update, and one of them is from foraging itself. Foraging goes all the way up to level 54, and you know what that means, I gotta get level 54. So here's me doing that. Here we go, foraging 46. Foraging 50! So yeah, I'm foraging 54 right now, and this is the max foraging level. I'm not going to get overflow to get to level 60 just because I don't really feel like doing that. I'll probably do that when the next islands come out, but foraging 54 is a great way to get your Skyblock level up. Once you get your foraging setup to a good amount, without a Jade Dragon, I was getting about 4.2 million foraging XP per hour, which meaning that it took me a little under 20 hours in total to get my foraging from level 22 to the 54 that is right now. And it's also a pretty good flex to show that you have a max foraging level, so it is pretty good. On top of your foraging level, there's also the Heart of the Forest, which is something that you cannot ignore because as you can see here, each tier gives you a bunch of Skyblock XP, and the level 7 gives you 130, which is over a whole level. In total, you can get 545 Skyblock XP, which is 5 whole levels, just from leveling up the Heart of the Forest. But there's also the Center of the Forest, which gives you 2.5 levels, which means that in total, you can get 8 levels just from getting Heart of the Forest 7 and 600,000 Forest Whispers. I only have a total of 6 million Forest Whispers, which isn't enough to max out everything that I want to, but it is a pretty good amount, and this is just from getting my foraging level up. I wasn't really actively going for Whispers in any way. Okay, so from 6 million Whispers, I've gotten about 5.5 Skyblock levels, which is 550 XP in total. And as you can see, I've gotten almost 11 whole levels just from the heart of the forest. This isn't including the foraging level itself. From the center of the forest, I've gotten 2.5. So in total, I've gotten about 13.5 Skyblock levels just from getting my heart of the forest and my whispers up. As you can see, there's a couple extra, like from Hina's chapters and from the tree gift milestones, but that doesn't add too much. It's about 1 level in total. Alright, just from maxing out foraging level to get to foraging level 54, I've gotten a total of 820 Skyblock XP, which is 8 levels and 20 Skyblock XP extra. So in total, just from getting to foraging level 54, I passively got to Heart of the Forest 7, and I passively got 6 million Forest Whispers, which means that in total from everything, I've gotten about 21 levels just from leveling up my foraging. This is where so much of the Skyblock XP comes from. There's actually a forest essence shop, and I don't think a lot of people know about this, but from spawn, if you go over here, past this area, you can see that there's this big tower over here, and it might just look like there's just a place where there's a fairy soul, which is up here, by the way. You can get about 20 XP from getting all the fairy souls. But down here, there's actually Rosemary, and she shows all of these essence perks that you can get. And I actually did not level up this perk, so I'm just going to get this Skyblock XP from there, because it gives a bunch of XP to level these up. And these perks are pretty good. You can see you can catch stuff in your traps faster, your axe stats are stronger, your pressure resistance is increased, your foraging fortune is increased, your berry items are stronger, your wisdom is higher, which is good for leveling up foraging, and there's this bait here which I just wouldn't recommend going with, but there's all of that. And once you max out that essence shop, you can also sell your essence to the bazaar for a bit of extra passive income as well. And after that, I want to have a quick note with Agatha, because her contests are really good for both leveling up your foraging and also giving you Skyblock XP. You can see in the shop there are a couple of items here. You want to get your foraging level cap up so you can get the Skyblock XP from there. But there's also some good perks here. You can get the frog pet and level it up to legendary, which is what I did. This can give you a little bit of XP as well. There's some enchants here, there's boosters, and like this reforged stone, which is really good. There's a talisman that you can get out of this, so there's a bunch of XP in this update that's just hidden around like that. But from the milestone, you can get 20 Skyblock XP, which is something, and you'll get this passively as well, along with Essence, Fortune, and Foraging XP. And you can unlock all the items from that as well. Each of these contests also give you Forest Whispers, Agatha coupons, Essence, Foraging XP, and Heart of the Forest XP, so they are very useful to go to. And at the start, you might need to use berries to get to legendary, but after that, once you get to a certain point, you can just mine fig trees the entire time. You can easily get legendary. As you can see, I got 4,000 points in this one contest, but I've gotten all the way up to 8,000 points as my personal best, so you can definitely get a lot of points by just mining fig. Okay, and I think the last thing that I want to talk about, which I didn't really talk about before, are just the collections. There are a couple of collections that came out with the update, 6 to be exact, and it's pretty easy to max them out. You also should probably go ahead and max out all the logs that were in the park, because with the items from this update, it just becomes really easy to do it, and it doesn't take that long at all. But I'd recommend just getting like your Mangrove collection, Vine Sap, Lushalak, and Sea Lumi's collection maxed out. It'll take a little bit of time, but it will give you a good amount of Skyblock XP. As you can see, just the Mangrove collection gives me about 36 XP along with the foraging level cap and foraging XP. The Vine Sap collection gives me the same 36 XP, but also gives you some hunting and foraging XP, which is really useful. Lushalak collection only gives you about 20 XP, but it's really easy to get, and you'll do it at the beginning to get your contests. And then finally, Sea Lumis. This is kind of annoying to do, but it gives a good amount of money, and you get 36 XP from this, so you can get a lot of XP from all of these combined. But when you're leveling up foraging, only stick to fig logs because it is the best for rates, and as you can see, I have 6.7 million collection from this, and this gives you a bunch of Skyblock XP, along with the Tenderwood collection. A quick note, you just get Tenderwood whenever you finish mining a fig tree, and the same thing goes for Vine Sap and Mangrove. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up the XP that you can get from the foraging update. There's so much XP you can get from here. You can probably get up to 50 levels, if not more, from this update. So in conclusion, if you haven't played the foraging update that much, or if you did it and got like 5 or so levels, I'd recommend trying to finish it out because it gives so many. You can get thousands of XP from this update, and I'm very broke, so you don't need that much money to get all this XP from the update. Things like attributes you do need money for, but things like foraging XP, hunting XP, these milestones, collections, all of that are really easy to get since this is an early game part of the foraging update, and it gives you so much XP. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. See you guys later.